that your immunity, your own physical fitness, your own mental fitness is very important. You have to work on it on a daily basis.
This interview is direct from Hong Kong. He is the founder of Motion Dynamics since 2012. He is also the founder of Stretch Asia since 1999. He is the Asia's pioneer of corrective bodywork since 1997, specifically active isolated stretch method. No other than my mentor, my #1 master and guru, my friend Chris Watts.
Yeah, hi there, Jay-Z. How are you? Chris Watts from Hong Kong. It's Motion Dynamics. That's the name of my company.
First question, could you give us a brief highlights and overview of your solid personal background and tell me more about Motion Dynamics?
So my journey with Motion Dynamics began some 25 years ago. I went to the Sarasota School of Therapeutic Bodywork in Florida, and there I studied neuromuscular therapy with Paul St. John, myofascial release with John Barnes, and active isolated stretching with Aaron Mattis. And there was a whole host of other things that we did, Thai medical massage, all those kind of things. And it really taught me to understand how complex the body is, but also how important it is to identify resistance, whether it was trigger points or tender points, or just soft tissue restrictions from poor postural habits, or just a poor ergonomics at work, or whatever it might be, or from past injuries, scar tissues. So it was really fascinating to see how many different ways you can actually manipulate the soft tissue to get this kind of ease of movement. And I think movement improvement is kind of the way I see this work going forward. So what we've done here at Motion Dynamics, we've divided the customers into certain categories. So when they have their postural assessments and their movement assessments, we look at their mechanical alignments or mechanical imbalances first. That's the key area. And then secondly, we look at muscle imbalances second, because compensation is always overused muscles or underused muscles. And if we don't have good balance, we don't have good control, and therefore we lose power. And that signaling from the brain into the muscle has been weakened. So everybody wants to have that kind of ease of motion. And then of course, at the very end, you've got muscles that become deficient from lack of movement. So sitting, for example, I'm sitting here. If I sit here for more than 45, 47 minutes, according to Judith Aston from Aston Patterning, she's the ergonomics maestress, I would say she would say 47 minutes, any more than that, and that muscle will turn off. So the glute max, your lower back starts to switch off, muscle atrophy, and then you lose that connection between the muscles which are there to support you, to cushion the joints, and movement. So this is where pain can set in. So that's really how we developed this system, and now we have a modular, 4-training modular system to get people through the flexibility part, the stability part, the postural assessment part, the manual therapy work, and then finally, how do you put it all together in a single treatment plan for sports injuries or pain management.
What is the assisted stretch demand difference from the pre-COVID compared to our current situation, especially the prevalence of more remote jobs and spending long hours sitting behind a computer?
So all of us in the physical therapy world have gone through some ups and downs, some upheavals, if you like, with the pandemic, and it's kind of taught us that your immunity, your own physical fitness, Your own mental fitness is very important. You have to work on it on a daily basis. This work, Motion Dynamics, is a lifestyle not just for our customers, but for us as well. The practitioners need to look at this as something that they benefit from. I mean, we are doing some good for other people, but we're also doing some good for ourselves. And any time that you're spending a lot of time standing, moving, whatever it is throughout the day, you are improving your metabolic system and you're improving your immunity indirectly. So this is very functional, and I think, you look at the way we can strengthen our bodies as we do this work, and the way we can actually improve our flexibility by doing all this kind of physical therapy work. It is very exciting, and a lot of people have been turned on to this kind of work as a means to an end. Everybody's got some kind of pain issues. Everybody's got some kind of postural dysfunction or faulty movement patterns. And I think that this is hands-on, so you can't do this through Zoom. I mean, there's a lot of people online on YouTube showing off their work, and I think it's fantastic to see this work being done on other people and what is possible with manual therapy. But I think at the end of the day, the reason I haven't done it, I mean, of course I do consultations online, but the reason I haven't done it is because this is hands-on. My skills are, what do I do with that person who's got a very different issue from another person, at that particular moment, to help relieve his pressure, decompress his spine, decompress his body, to relieve the pain. So there's many reasons why we didn't do this. We are in a very exclusive company. We're not mass market. We're just three of us working here, but we're busy with the right kind of people. They've got the time, they've got the interest in health and fitness, they've got the wherewithal to come in. So it's taken me 25 years to build this kind of client base, and Hong Kong has just been fantastic for that. I know we're going through a lot of changes at the moment, but there is a lot of good here. There's a lot of people who really nourish the work we do, and they see the results. They get they have multiple opportunities to work with all kinds of different therapies, and they just keep coming back. The AIS, or the active assisted isolated stretching, is good for about 70% of all the work that we do to decompress and realign. I say deconstruct the body and reconstruct it again properly, so we got proper function again, and that's how I see it right now.
My next question is, how does motion dynamic assisted active isolated stretch benefited them to sustain the daily demands of prolonged sittings?
One of the biggest changes that we've made in our business is the communication that we have with our customers, the awareness, the mechanics, the biomechanics, explaining why people are experiencing whatever it is they're experiencing, whether it's irritation, discomfort, or pain, and then trying to give them a really good, clear explanation from the mechanical perspective. Is this a tilt? Is this a torque? Is this a rotation? Is this a muscle imbalance? And give them the understanding that if they know this work, if they know and understand the reason behind their irritations, they can make the corrective adjustments to their ergonomics, their lifestyles, their kind of exercises they do to manage and maintain this new body, this new position against the forces of gravity. It's really all about defying gravity as best we can and making sure in general that the muscles that pull us forward, those flexor muscles that's pulling us forward, tend to be more opened up, and then the muscles in the back that tend to keep us upright. They don't work that much, but they don't work that hard, but they need to be trained. The reflexes need to be trained so that we're a lot more upright when we are standing, sitting, moving, or whatever it is. So those muscles need to be very well engaged, and that's the single biggest deficiency that I see in here. Almost 90% of the customers coming through the door have extremely weak extensor muscles, extremely weak glutes and hamstrings and erectors and multiple multifidus and all those other neck extensors. And I think that's the area that we need to focus on in general, and making sure that they're very used to this new position, this neutral default position that we're trying to bring them back into. I think that's the key message that I would say has changed in the last few years, is how we communicate and how clearly, keep it really clear, keep it really simple, but at the same time, give them homework, make sure they're doing the homework, make sure they understand that that's empowerment for them, and give them a goal, give them maybe 2 to 3 months to really get this right. And if that doesn't work, then they can go into another avenue and try something else. But certainly, if you give yourself a good bit of time, you're doing all the right things and you're doing it regularly enough. I mean, pain is a great motivator, as you all know, so that that's kind of the way you would drive them into making sure they do the work themselves. I can only see customers maybe once or twice maximum a week, and the rest of the time it's what they do that really counts. We're really just facilitators and guides to their changes. The change has to come from within, but they must inherently understand intellectually, physically, psychologically what it is they're doing to correct those deficiencies. So as a physical therapist here at Motion Dynamics, my goal is to work on as many people as I can, within reason, without exhausting myself. I'm 63, so you've got to pace it. I tend to work on 3 or 4 customers a day. I do 90-minute sessions here, and I find with 90 minutes I can work upper and lower extremities. I can join the dots, and that's very important, because sometimes if you're rushing in a session and you can't quite get the balance right between the upper and lower extremities, front and back, you don't quite get the results, and people leave feeling kind of not quite centered, as it were. But I see the future of this work in the sense that training and practice and more training, getting more kids, more young people excited about this kind of work, and systemizing it so that it's very easy when you come in. You're going to have your postural assessment, you're going to have maybe a photograph taken, the before and the after, you're going to have a movement assessment, because that always tells you what you can and can't do, and then work on the inflexibility first. Flexibility should always come first, mobility second, stability third. That's how you keep everything in place. And then you can work on your strength and power later on. But if you don't have those systems working before you start the strength, you may actually be strengthening tissues that are already shortened, already constricted, and you're going to probably compress and create even more movement inhibitions than you did beforehand. So I think in a way, getting it right, doing the right thing, right process, and making sure you bring the customer on board and they're taught nicely how this is all working, and give them as much empowerment, give them as much knowledge and information as possible. This is why your anatomy training is very important. We have Herman here, my skeleton, and that literally is with me around every customer. They need to know what's going on, what it is we're stretching, where that muscle is located, how it affects the mechanics, how it affects the biomechanics when you're moving, and making sure that they understand those little simple changes that they can do to create better movement, better function, and to allow themselves to live a longer and happier life, if you like, and play sports, tennis, whatever it is you like to do at a much older age. Where my mum lives in Florida, people are still playing tennis in their mid-80s, and they're playing it really well. I can vouch for that because I play against them sometimes when I'm over there. But anyway, yes, so I think the teaching side of things is going to become very important for someone like myself that's been doing this for 25 years, and passing on the knowledge, keeping a legacy going for the next generation. So look forward to teaching more youngsters.
Any takeaway for our viewers about active isolated stretch?
Most of the customers that come and see me, they are taught not just how to carry themselves, their postural balance, if you like, but they're taught how to self-stretch. So that's an important thing. So these are things you can easily do at the office, easily do at home, pre-game, pre-activity. Make sure you get the big big five, as I call them, the big power muscles, all stretched out nicely, because again, this is all about range of motion. There is a certain athletic range of motion associated with all 360 joints in the body. It's important that people know those ranges, because if you are under range, let's say you're doing a single leg raise and you can only go to 60 degrees when you know that it should be able to be 100 to 120 degrees of range, then you would be deficiency. There's more likelihood that you're going to hurt yourself. There's more likelihood that you get a stretch reflex reaction against certain movements, particularly when you're doing long lunges or long strides or kicking a little bit higher. Those muscles will hypercontract and potentially tear, and you've got an 8 to 10 weeks repair job, which can easily have been prevented. So a lot of this work is about preparation, prehabilitation, and preventing unnecessary injuries from taking place. Nobody wants to have a knee injury. Everybody wants to prevent that because it takes so long, being the largest and weakest joint in the body, so long to heal, and you never quite get back that performance again. So that can be one of the big selling points these days for this kind of work. We take a healthy person, somebody who doesn't have too much irritation in their body, and we improve their range of movement, we improve their mobility, and they have, first of all, greater performance, more energy to do whatever it is they do, more power generation, but they have a greater chance of not hurting themselves. And I think that's a really important factor in this day and age when everybody's out running, cycling, whatever it is. Since the pandemic, there's been a much greater push towards self-healing and understanding that your immune system is really important to build up, and exercise is a great way to do that mentally and physically. There's been a lot of mental issues with the lockdowns, with the pandemic, and so this is a great way to get back on track and feel fantastic about yourself and generate more energy, because really fitness and this kind of work, fringes, physical therapy and fitness is all about energy, and I can't emphasize that enough.